Greetings in the name of Yeshua. Blessings to all. Shalom to our Jewish friends and followers. This is a remake of a video that I had to pull off the line because there were a bunch of errors that were in the one that I published earlier. I apologize, and I pray that you will forgive me for having erred. It was done in innocence, but it took a bit of time for me to hear the Holy Spirit say to me, "You made a mistake," and I needed to correct it. So anyways, this is the remake of that particular video. Give me a moment. It is called The Power. No. Oh my goodness. Revealing why we might tempt God. Sorry about that. In many different ways, there are many things that Satan uses as weapons against us. This is the fourth video. This is the third video in the series talking about Yeshua's temptations, the three temptations. This video is on the second temptation that came to the Lord. And what I'm trying to do is a comparison of how the Lord was tempted. And we know that without sin, there is no temptation other than through Satan. And of course, the Lord knew exactly what to say and how to deal with him. On the other hand, we as human beings, when he uses those same three temptations against us, he's quite successful, as we just need to walk around in the world and witness. There is so much that goes on that we don't realize. Many have sinned and fallen wayside to the temptation that Satan has placed before them. The one that I'm talking about tonight is where the Lord was taken up onto the pinnacle, and Satan said to him, "Jump and let the angels catch you. If you're the Son of God, they will catch you." And of course, he was tempting the Lord to step away from the deity that he is. For us, that same temptation is put before us, where an example I would imagine to cite would be where he would raise us up in our ego to great heights, and then he would say to us, "Jump. The angels will catch you." Did he not put you in the hands of the angels? Is he not protecting you? Is he going to forsake you? Now understand, the point that I'm trying to make here is quite a simple one, actually. But in many people's eyes or in their minds would become very complicated in the sense of, how could he do that to us? What it comes down to is Satan uses lies to bring us down. But he also uses lies to puff us up. And that's what I'm talking about. He gets us into a state of puffiness, into a state of a mindset that we're important, a mindset that we have achieved righteousness beyond all others, and that we're very important in the eyes of God. And when we get to that kind of position, we become very vulnerable. You see, what I'm trying to point out is Satan uses our ignorance of the law against us. Now, we could be scholarly followers and believers, newcomers just on milk. He flies against us because he knows that that's one of the weak spots that we have. This is why the Lord has brought us to the position of dealing with your salvation daily. This is why he showed me, say unto you as individuals, spend 1 minute with me a day. You'd be surprised what you'll find in one verse every day. It's huge. And I did a little demonstration for people to show how long a minute is. And I'm sure many were surprised. A minute is a long time. It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't hear it. It doesn't like it. We don't speak to a minute as being long. But when you're actually measuring time in your mind of how long a minute is, it's very difficult to comprehend. Try it. Take a stopwatch and sit down, start the stopwatch, and consider in your mind how long it takes for that minute to occur. When you think that that minute has passed, stop the stopwatch. And what you'll find, in many, many cases, I'm not saying 100%, but I'm saying in many cases, probably about 80%, maybe even higher, you'll find that you fall very, very short of what a minute is. When you understand that, you'll then begin to understand how Satan operates in our lives. You see, a lot can happen in a minute. A lot. That's why I said, the Lord showed me to use that title. Spend 1 minute with me every day. My 1 minute with Yeshua. That's what the title is. Anyways, getting back to this video. How do we tempt the Lord? Satan gives us many, many different ways of doing just that. However, understand something, and this is very, very important for all to realize. The only way Satan can trip us or trap us, if we give him permission. We have to give him permission. Now, I pointed out to people how easy it is for him to gain that permission from us because of our ignorance, and that's what he plays on. Understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're not wise. I'm not saying that you are uneducated. What I'm saying is that we do not know all of the wiles of Satan. We don't know all the rules and regulations within the law that the Lord has put down. And I'll have the detractors saying, yeah, but we don't live under the law. And of course we don't. We live under salvation. We live under grace. But understand what I'm talking about. Very simple. How many of you can say they know all 10 commandments? How many of you can say that you live under those 10 commandments? Not as a law, but as a template, as a guide, as a roadmap through life, as a system, a method by which you can increase yourself and your relationship with the Lord. That's what the 10 commandments are about. The lie that most people are gathering and hanging on to, some of them very fervently, is that we don't live under the law. And those 10 commandments don't apply to us because they're the law. Moses gave them to the Israelites to live their lives by. Keywords to live their lives by. They weren't the law. They were a guide. God gave us those 10 commandments to guide us through life, to bring simplicity into our lives, to bring understanding, to bring knowledge, wisdom, and discernment into a situation where we become wise in what He has shown us to do. Those 10 commandments give us all forms of understanding. When you sit down and study them, if you take the time to sit down and study all 10, break them down so that you understand them and discern them, you will begin then to see how they are like a big puzzle, each piece demonstrating a form of understanding, recognition of what life is going to display to you and how you can deal with that as it is presented to you. What I'm talking about in realizing the 10 commandments is they become a tool and a weapon to stand against Satan's temptations, which this is all about, this video. And Satan laid the temptations before the Lord, and the Lord rebuked them very quickly and said, "It is written, thou shalt not tempt thy Lord thy God." Man does not live by bread alone. He doesn't tempt the Father. Get behind me, Satan. When you begin to really take a good serious look at the second temptation, you begin to see how Satan has taken the original temptation, modified it. It's like he did with Eve. And he's modified it and brings it out, and he says to you, you're God's children, and He's placed you in the hands of the angels. Why wouldn't they protect you? Why would they not catch you? Aren't you important in God's eyes because He placed you in the hands of the angels? Doesn't that make you ultra important? And I remind you, there wasn't anything that God saw in us. He brought us to Him because of His love and compassion. Realize that Satan is lying to you. He's puffing you up. He's taking you to a high place and telling you or asking you to jump. He's asking you to tempt the Lord. And many, I believe, have gotten into a position where they have jumped. And when you jump, you turn your soul over to Satan. Because now you've tempted the Lord, and the Lord slips back. Don't get into a position of haughtiness and what's the other word I'm looking for? Haughtiness and pride. Prideful. Everybody loves to have their ego stroked, and they love to be thought of as being important. And Satan uses that as a tool to bring us into a position of vulnerability. Because as soon as we get into our minds, and out of faith, out of our heart, and into our minds, and we start believing that we're righteous and start believing that we're worshiping in the right manner, we become vulnerable. Very vulnerable. Now, I'm going to read I've divested away a little bit from the original because I believe some of the information in that original one, I don't believe, I know it was an error. How much effect does the temptation that was placed on Yeshua have in our lives when Satan brings it before us in its divested manner? Maybe possibly altered a little so it stands against us. I believe many have fallen through these temptations. Truly, the choices that we face in our work, we're in the depth of our belief and the strength of our faith, whether we have full trust or trust at all. Christianity in itself, the religion, is being challenged these days, and the numbers have fallen because they have had weak faith and believed the lies that have undermined what little faith they did have. I'm not pointing fingers, but I'm simply saying that in one of the lessons, one of the videos, and one of the articles that I published earlier this year, I was talking about 500 who were warriors, an advance guard, going out full of zeal, knowledge, understanding, skilled warriors, but in 15 minutes were slaughtered because they didn't have the right weaponry. And I'm saying the same thing that the church has done. They have not prepared the advance guard, and we are that advance guard. They haven't prepared individuals, the believers, the ecclesia, the assembly. They haven't prepared them for what is in front of us today. I hear many, many believers calling out to the Lord in prayer, which is not wrong, it's right. However, I also hear them saying that they don't believe their prayer is being answered. And doesn't God answer all prayer? He answers prayer, but it has to be sincere in the heart. It doesn't involve having personal gain. It has to be from a righteous heart, from a righteous individual. What am I trying to say? If you're walking in a delusion, if you're walking with what you believe is a secret sin, I call it a luxury sin, that you have become so comfortable with the sin, you don't see it as a sin anymore. Because it brings your flesh all the pleasures that it desires. You see, when we take the pledge to be with the Lord, that means we are disconnecting ourselves from the world and the worldly pleasures, all of the things that the world offers. Now, I know this is going to be a point of contention, but that includes pharmacies, pharmaceuticals, as well as medical services. Let me qualify, medical services other than broken bones and possibly emergency surgery where you have been injured not by anything that you have done. As far as disease is concerned, there shouldn't be any in your life if you're walking righteous with God, because He promises that if you're abiding with Him, there will be no disease or plagues in your life and your home. And I believe that. I'm living it. I trust it. My wife and I do not attend physician. I did years ago, and I was forced to because I had a driver's license and I had a business where I depended on that driver's license as a professional operator. And I had to have an annual health inspection on my license in order to hold it. Other than that, I don't go to a doctor. I don't trust them, and I don't believe what they have offers me any help or assistance other than if I break a bone, they help me replace, like set it and cast it. That's it. Or if I lacerate myself to a point where I need internal stitching, that would be about the only way that I would attend the hospital or a doctor. And basically, I don't go to hospitals. They're dens of disease. Anyways, that's off topic. What I'm trying to say here is that we need to be in faith, and in our faith, we would then begin to understand all of the temptations that Satan is placing before us. And the ecclesia hasn't been given this information in the churches today. It's lacking. They're not teaching to be faithful to God. They're not teaching that when you made a commitment, it's like getting married. Understand that's a vow. That vow is the first commandment. Read it. I know a lot of people know it, and they recite it, and they talk about it, and they say it is a fantastic life. But that means you have to live it. You see, when I made a commitment to the Lord, I committed my heart to Him. And my commitment was that I would love Him with all my heart, with all my mind. I would serve Him. With all my soul, I would believe in Him. And with all my strength, I would fight for Him, to the point of putting my life on the line for Him. That's my commitment. No less than I would do for my wife. When I took the vows that I would look after her in health and in sickness, in wealth or in poor, that's the vow that I took, and I take those vows very serious. When I committed myself to the Lord, I committed myself under that vow, under those conditions. And I believe His words, the 10 Commandments that He put out, are a guide for me to understand just how to do that. And then Satan is trying to kick me off the path, kick me out, kick me while I'm down, or kick me so that I fall down. Recognize that what he's trying to do is to get me to forsake my Lord. Tempt Him. And in my heart, it would say, I don't believe in you anymore. And I can't do that. My commitment is too strong. I can't do that. One of the reasons why I pulled the video was there was an error in there that I caused. And I pulled it because of that. My conscience would not allow me to leave it in the public, and I had to pull it. Understand, what I'm here to do is to bring a warning for you. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a brother. I'm not a priest. I'm here as a watchman, sounding a warning to come out of the delusions, the secret sins, all of the things that you believe you can hide from God. You can't. If you're committed within a delusion and you don't recognize it, the information that is out here right now is coming to you to help you understand that you're in a delusion. And the way you're going to find out that you're in a delusion is, instead of coping, rationalizing, and justifying, start dealing where you're being responsible and accountable. There's a big difference between the two. And when you begin to deal with God, sometimes it hurts. It hurts in the heart because you've made a mistake and you have to admit it in front of Him, and you know that He's going to chastise you as a result of it. But He still loves you and He cares about you. You know, I was the one in the video that I removed, there was a statement in there. And the Holy Spirit was whispering in my ear when I was making that video. And He said to me, let them know, let those who are still in the delusions, if they're rebuking the information, the truth, if they're continuing in that delusion, if they're continuing in that delusion, let them know that they're only alive right now because they're under grace. Because God is a compassionate and loving and caring God. He's looking at them in the same light that He looked at all of those who came out of Egypt, who were in their minds believing that they were righteously worshiping God. And like Moses said, Father, don't kill him. Don't, and the Lord wanted to destroy him right then and there. Moses begged and pleaded for them and stayed the Lord. And the Lord said, okay, I won't, but I will deal with them. And they were in the desert for 40 years. And while they were in the desert, as I had stated before, and I'll say it again right now, only one, Caleb, out of that group of people, out of the millions that came out of Egypt, the original group, only one, Caleb, was allowed to go into Canaan. The condition that the Lord set were the children from 20 years and younger were the ones that entered into Canaan. They were ones that populated the promised land. The Lord dealt with their parents who weren't abiding with him. They brought their false gods with them. And some of them said, well, we don't have any images. And in their minds, they were still worshiping Balaam. You can't hide what's in your heart. You can't hide what your intent is. If you think you can, you're only fooling yourself. And you're tempting the Lord. And it's easy for Satan to bring all of his lies before you. Only needs to bring one, really, basically, because as it was pointed out to us, he only needs to plant one seed in us, and it's like yeast. It grows, and it causes us to stumble, and it brings us into a situation where we're now not in the righteousness of God. Why do you think I acted as quickly as I did, pulling that video? I erred. And I put it before the Lord and asked him for forgiveness for having made that error. And my conscience was bothering me so bad. It was like it wasn't the Lord, but it was the Holy Spirit touching me and saying, you erred. You got to make a correction. But it's only up to you. You're the one that can do it. You have to do it. And it was a battle within me. The enemy was saying to me, oh, just leave it. Nobody's going to notice. Nobody will know the difference. Only you and I and God. And when he said that, that's what really brought me over the edge to say, yeah, you know what? I need to pull it off. The truth hurts. There was some good information in there, but there was some bad stuff as well. And the good information I'm trying to repeat, but I'm trying to do it in a different way. I'm trying to say it in a way that I think people will understand. I'm appealing to your discernment. I'm asking you to get out of your head, out of your mind. I'm saying get into your heart. Know your relationship. Know the depth of it. Know how good your faith is, the strength of your faith. Exercise it so that it becomes stronger. It was in faith that I pulled that. It's in faith that I'm doing this right now. I'm replacing it. I'm praying and asking for forgiveness from the Lord, but as well from those who are followers. I'm not going to reveal what the sin was, but it was a sin that I believe would separate me from the Lord. I'll deal with it. I'm dealing with it in front of the Lord. I have put it before his throne with a repentant heart, and I'm asking for his forgiveness, and I'm pleading for your prayers and forgiveness as well for having erred. The error that I put before you. Know that my heart and my intent is to never ever put you in a position of error. What I bring through these videos, I research deeply, profoundly. I will not bring a mistake and an error forward for someone to stumble on. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put the truth before you. The truth being that you need to do an assessment daily of your walk and of your relationship. Within that, you will know. You will hear the horn when it happens, when the lifting out comes. You will know that you're in the church of righteousness with God, because your life will be such that you can't commit sin. Even like if you commit it, you just can't live with it. There is no way that you possibly can get away with it. Not unless you have it in your heart to walk on the other side, outside of the door, away from the protection. I cannot appeal enough to the individuals to recognize the delusion that they're in. And to me, the more that I deal with this, the more I begin to see that there is a parallel religion, there is a parallel belief that mimics the real one. But you can tell the difference between the real one and the mimic one. The real one, there is no sickness. There is no stress. There are answers. People are prepared for warfare. They know how to use their double-edged sword. They know how to pray. I received an email from some gentleman about prosperity belief, temptation of the Lord, and we'll be dealing with it in the next video. Understand what I'm dealing with right now is I'm talking to you about the delusion. Tempting our Lord by being so puffed up, the enemy can say to you, jump. And the angels, are you not in the angel's hands? Did he not put you there? Aren't you special? Aren't you a super, ultra special individual? And again, I say to you, the Lord did not choose us because of what we are. He chose us because of his love for us. Nothing else. Understand the walk and the will is ours to deal with and to do. I want to give this information. Years ago, 1983, this was during my 25 years of darkness. I was a smoker and a drinker, and I was what they call an ultimate smoker. I was at 3 packs a day. Believe me. And it was hurt. I could feel it. I knew that it was wrong for me to be doing it because my lungs were starting to hurt. That was one of the reasons why I quit. But another was I heard a gentleman, a pastor on the radio, by chance, at that time. And what he said resonated with me, and I heard a message. That message was, we are given a will. And within that will, if we're strong enough, nothing can stand against us. And the word that we need to stand on is no. But we need to mean it, and we need to take it at heart and stand on it. When you say no to yourself, you need to accept that no as being no and stand on it. So when I quit, and I had a package with, I think, about 8, I used to buy packs of 25. And when I quit, and that meant I was smoking 75 cigarettes a day. And when I quit, I took the package out of my pocket, out of my shirt pocket, stuck it up in the visor of my car, and that's where it stayed. The first 3 days were the toughest because I had to overcome the nicotine cravings. And I got through those. I got a hold of the Lung Association, and I found out all of the different things that were affecting me chemically and how to overcome them. And in those 3 days, I stood on my will. The tough part was the next 35 days where I had to overcome the psychological attachments to the 3-day nicotine habit. Those were the tough ones. Those were the ones that I had to stand and say no to and mean it and actually accept the no and then stand on it. No meant no. Now, you have to understand, I did something that a lot of people kind of go, oh, come on, I can't believe that. I quit drinking at the same time. Christmas Eve, 1983, I quit smoking and I quit drinking all at the same time. And I haven't had alcohol in my system since that day, Christmas Eve, 1983. And I based all of that on the word no. And what this preacher on the radio had said, that my free will was my weapon against the temptation to succumb to Satan. And this is the point that I'm trying to get to by this testimony, was my strength came from the word no. And believe me, the temptations were profound. They were vivid. They were all kinds of different things happening to me during that period of time. The harder he pushed, the stronger I stood on the word no. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I want you to stand on the word no as well. Understand, when you're doing your assessment of your walk, you're going to find somewheres within that where you have succumbed, partially or wholly, to a temptation. And it's going to take all your strength to say no to it. Especially those who are trapped in the delusions. No means no. But you have to come to the truth by dealing with it. Recognizing that you chose the path that you're on. You cannot use the excuse, the devil made me do it. That's irresponsible. That's pointing your finger and blaming somebody else for your action. You need to be accountable for it, and you need to put it before the Lord, with a repentant heart. And in doing so, He will forgive you because you're under grace. He will forgive you because He has compassion for you. He will forgive you because He knows the intent of your heart. Come to the truth. Understand, Satan has twisted the same temptation that he put before the Lord. He's asked you to jump and believe in your mind that the angels have caught you. Because he's saying, didn't God put you there? If He doesn't catch you, that means He doesn't love you. That means He doesn't have any compassion for you. I certainly would. If you come and worship me, I would. I would deal with you in many different ways. Those are the lies and the temptation, other further temptations that He's going to put before you. One of the worst ones that I believe is happening right now, the world has answers for you, for all of your diseases. They have answers for you. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I don't believe so. And one of the things that's proved to me is all of the information that is out on metformin, what it's been doing to people that have believed that it was there to help them in their diabetes. Metformin. There's others as well. One of the things that I always, when I did attend the doctors, I very, very seldom went to a doctor, but when I did attend the doctor and he gave me a prescription, and 99% of them I never filled because of one thing that he said to me, or they said to me when I was walking out, just before I walked out the door, let's try this and see if it helps. That brought doubt into my mind that what he was giving me was going to work. I was being played as an experiment. And people today are still being played as an experiment, actually to the point of where they're killing and murdering individuals and millions, and they're maiming as many, many other millions to begin with, all in the name of making money. Greed. When you tempt the Lord, you're really placing yourself in a position of really bad choices. It only takes one sin to leave in a whole bunch of others. You know, somebody said to me, well, what sin am I committing by taking a vaccination? And it isn't even a vaccine. I call it a jab. By taking the jab, what am I sinning? I said, have you looked at the reason why you're taking it? Well, I like to travel. I want to go shopping. I want to do a whole bunch of different things. Excuse me? Did you hear what you just said? You just rationalized it. And what is the justification? The rationalization is that it's okay to take. The justification is, well, I want to fly, I want to journey, I want to do all these different things. I don't want to be outside. And I'm doing it because I want to protect my family and my friends, and I want to save the world. Those are all Satan's lies. They're all temptations that he put before you, and you've accepted each and every one of them. In my mind, I'm looking at all of what's going on, and I'm saying, I trust, I believe. When God said to me, I am the greatest physician there is, why would I doubt him? Why would I not believe him? If I believe him in everything else, why would I not believe that he is the greatest physician? Why would I not believe? Jesus gave us the best example. His friend Lazarus died and was wrapped in funeral clothing, and people were mourning him. And Jesus went in, he said, and the people were saying, oh, you can't raise him, he stinketh already. And Jesus walked in and he said, rise. And his friend rose. He lifted the dead through the Father, through the will of God. The Son lifted his friend out of death. Why would I not believe that God, Yahweh, is not the great physician? Why would I not believe all the promises that he's made to me throughout the scriptures, that he would not allow any disease or plague to come in my life or my home? Why would I not believe that? Why do I distrust what he's telling me as being truth? Why would I forsake? Why would I tempt the Lord? That's what you're doing. When you do not accept that God is the greatest physician there is, that he would not allow any disease to come into your life, why would you forsake that? Here's my testimony. I'm 75, and in 4 months I'll be 76. In those years of my life, even during the 25 years that I was in darkness, I was not sick. I was not ill. didn't break bones. I didn't, because I was careful with my life. I was careful what I did. And yes, I was in a mindset that I wanted to destroy my temple. You have no idea. I went from being exalted in the Lord to where I wanted to destroy what He created. But He wouldn't let me do it. Understand what I'm trying to say to you. My belief that He was the greatest physician, that He is the greatest physician, when I was a little guy, when I took Him on, and I started to believe in Him, that's in my heart. I believed that I was going to be held responsible for my actions, so I was careful what I was doing, and I was careful who I was around, but I also understood that I was protected. But I didn't tempt Him. I didn't tempt Him in any way, shape, or form. I didn't get proud. I didn't get my head up in the air going, my God is protecting me. I can do anything I want to do, and He'll protect me. I didn't tempt Him to do that. And in my latter life now, I am even less capable of doing that, because I'm appealing to you, and I don't want to be seen as a hypocrite. But I'm putting my testimony before you and saying to you in all sincerity from my heart, there is no disease in my life. My wife and I don't even fight colds. We don't have them in our home. My wife has people coming in and they cannot believe that we're not sick. There is no flu. There is no colds. And when they come into our home, our residence, the first thing that they say when they initially come to our home is how peaceful. When I walk into your home, it's so peaceful because the presence of the Lord is with us. And there is a calmness in our home. There is a calmness in our yard because we've placed angels and we believe in it. We believe and trust that the Lord protects our home. He protects our residents and He protects those who come into it. I place the blood of the Lamb over the door jambs, over our windows. I plead that in a prayer. And I've done it with all my life. I've done it with my homes. And one of the things that I recognized very young was the Passover. And I'm not Jewish, but I recognized the power of what they were talking about in that particular statement. Put the blood of the lamb, the sheep, around your doorframe so that the spirit of death will pass you by. Why would we not use that as an example that we can do it here today and have the same result? Did He not tell us in 91 and other places in the scriptures, I will give you long life? And here, if you tempt Him, that's what you're giving away. That's what Satan wants you to do. He wants you to tempt the Lord so that you can lose all of that protection, so He can capture you. You think that when you're walking in this delusion, that you're not obeying what Satan is calling you to do? That you're not falling to his temptations? Because in your mind you think that you're righteous and that everything that you're doing is in the will of God? I'm here to tell you it's not. I'm here to tell you you're in error. You need to come to the Lord. Be honest with yourself first. Deal with the Lord. Get out of the coping mechanism. Set all your rationalizations aside. Get rid of all the justification. Look at what those justifications are. I challenge you to do this right now. Make a T on a piece of paper. And on one side, put all the rationalizations in your mind that are there to justify you being where you're at. And then on the other side, put the justifications there to support those rationalizations. Find out what it is that you're doing, how you're doing it, and why. Look at what it is. See the truth. There's error in all of that. You'll see what the lies are that Satan is using to hold you and ensnare you and entrap you, that you would turn your back on the Lord as being the greatest physician. I can't believe people do not see this. Millions. Even the pastors in the churches are not seeing it. Understand, faith is powerful. It was Yeshua's faith that had the Father raise his friend from the dead. It was his faith that had all the healings and the deliverances that he did through the Father. I said it before, I'll say it again. He did nothing in his own name. He did it in the name of the Father. He even says it himself. He came here to release us from the ensnarement of the enemy. The teachings that have been brought out over the last 2,000 years are showing some of the fallacies and errors that people are making. Don't fall for those traps. Don't jump. Don't jump. Don't make that leap of false faith. Father, I pray that you would bring knowledge and understanding and wisdom to them, to those that are looking at this video, to all that are following your word honestly and dealing with their life. I pray, Father, that you would cut all cords of rationalization, all cords of justification from the minds of those who are caught up in the delusion that Satan has placed before them. In all things, Father, I ask that you would place discernment in their hearts, that they might learn to deal honestly with themselves. That in that honesty, they would find the path out of the darkness and the ensnarement that they are living in. Father, I pray for your blood to be upon them, cover them, bring cords of agape love and wrap them all those enemies that are with these individuals, wrap them in the cords of agape love, that they would be bound and removed. Fill them with the spirit of truth, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. This I pray in your name, Father, in the name of Yeshua. Amen.